we're gonna go in September, hopefully, and drive Route 66. Because I turned 66.
That'd be great.
66 in November, so wouldn't that be awesome? Dave Cantrell did it, so he's going to give us his itinerary.
I need to
It's on my bucket.
see you're on traffic.
Yeah, I need to see.
Aaron's not on there. They're just laughing at me.
He's not on it?
No,
They take him out?
yeah, I think it's Lynn.
I want to get this thing with the railroad intersections done once and for all. The next Board of Works meeting, what intersections?
It was sent out today.
No, I got it.
Yeah, we never know.
You know, if you do enough complaining.
Oh, that's great.
Okay,
We're waiting on land. Whether you get it is
okay. All right. I'll get something prepared for the next meeting. It's been one of those things that's been on my list, and I see it, and I keep
Okay,
thinking.
we'll call the meeting to order if everyone will rise, please. Mr. Coder, will you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Guffey, would you lead us in a prayer?
Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day, dear God. We ask you to be with this council and with the city as we make decisions tonight, Lord. We give you the praise in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, let's have roll call, please.
Mike Guffey.
Present.
Jeff Hancock.
Present.
Jerry Walton.
Present.
Aaron Dickens.
Here.
Mark Coger.
Here.
Lynn Purdue. Rex Peckinpah.
Here. Okay, now do we have anybody that wants to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walton.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Coger.
Aye.
Do I need to say Lynn?
Yeah.
Okay. Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. If nobody has any additions to the agenda, we'll consider it approved. That brings us to a time I think we're going to turn it over first to Mr. Phipps, and he has a little presentation.
I'm not a public speaker, and I think most people here know me. I'm Greg Phipps. I'm basically the activities director at the water plant. And as everybody knows, we had a pretty rough winter. We had 2 main breaks in November. We had 5 in December. We had 20 in January. So I asked the people from the water department to step up here so they could be publicly recognized. Stand up, guys. This is the group. This is the group that misses out on their family get-togethers, on their holidays, on their days off, on their nights off, so that everybody else can have water in the city. It doesn't make any difference if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 20 below. I call them and they show up. And I just want them to know, and I want the city to know, we appreciate the job that they do. You guys stand up and say your names. That way you can say you spoke.
You're getting back at them, aren't you?
Josh. Carrie. Jill.
David.
Millie. Dave.
That's
There you go, guys.
Well, I do want to say this, if everybody got to celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's this year, they didn't. I know at least 2 of those occasions that they worked a 24-hour shift. One of those shifts, I think they worked 40 straight hours. Is that pretty close? Pretty close. So, something like that. So, and at that time, it was literally around 10 degrees, and in the middle of the night, it was down to almost 0 a couple times. So we truly appreciate everything that you guys do. Now, we're going to move on with the rest of the agenda, but as we get done with each presentation, you're more than welcome to leave so you don't have to sit through the whole program. But Well, I've already taken, we had the state fire marshal with us tonight. I've already taken a head count and we're under the 89. We're pushing the limit, so it's kind of la 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 tonight.
It's okay to
Go ahead.
stay too.
Okay, so, like, if anybody would like to leave, please do so, or at any time. Our next presentation is from Chief Moore.
So on January 12th at 7:44 in the morning, Newcastle Fire Department was dispatched to a possible residential structure fire. On arrival, personnel observed smoke coming from the front of the home, and crews encountered a female with significant burn injuries as well as a young male with potential inhalation injuries. We learned that the young man who lived across the street, realizing his neighbor still inside her burning apartment, without hesitation entered the fire room, locating the occupant and removing her to safety. Doing so with no regard for his own well-being, and with the extent of her injuries, there's no doubt that this young man's actions that day saved this woman's life. And so we have a presentation. Coy, come up. We have a couple things here. We have a plaque that reads, "In grateful recognition and sincere appreciation of his quick and selfless life-saving action, his personal initiative and prompt response without thought to his personal safety, resulting in the saving of another life, the life of another, is the highest act of valor to humanity. His heroic efforts will serve as an inspiration to others." And then we have, that's for you. And then we have a civilian's life-saving medal. Thank you.
I'm Steve Jones. I'm the Indiana State Fire Marshal. Just to tell you a little bit about what I do, the State Fire Marshal's office started in 1913. We are the oldest public safety agency in the state of Indiana. The state flag was not adopted till 1917, so my office existed before the Indiana state flag was in existence. Water company, you're our best friend, right? No, I appreciate the work that you do. But no, this is just an honor that I have because I represent the fire service all across the state of Indiana. I'm appointed by the governor of Indiana, represent over 900 fire departments, thousands of firefighters. And this doesn't happen every day. Many times people we see in peril that the bystanders get their phones out and videotape it without calling 911 and stuff. Not very many people stop and help, let alone stop and put their own lives at risk. And I'll let Ross talk about what he saw as far as the fire. You know, he's one of our fire investigators for my office.
Mr. Mayor,
Others.
good evening. I'm here with Marshal Jones. I was assigned this case for investigation to assist with the Newcastle Fire Department to try to figure out the origin and cause of this fire. Part of my background investigation, I found out that Coy was one of the residents in the area that helped get the lady out of the house. This structure, if it had gone probably another minute and a half or two, the outcome would have been much different. We don't recommend running into a burning building. We have specialists for that, but Coy did that, and it definitely saved her life. So we appreciate that.
So we would like to give him the Heroic Life-Saving Award from the State Fire Marshal. This says State Fire Marshal, State of Indiana, Heroic Life-Saving Award, Coy Adkins. The State Fire Marshal's Heroic Life-Saving Award recognizes the attempt to save a life effectively in execution and performance in honor of Coy Adkins for his heroism, extraordinary skill, and resourcefulness in saving a life effectively. I'd like to give you this award.
Coy, could you come here, Chief? State Fire Marshal, could you guys come up here for a photo shoot real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring all your awards. Yeah, show the bling. It's a bling bling. This is a bling bling night, man.
Mayor Howard, it's been a while.
Yeah,
I want
good
to
to see
do
you.
too is give you a challenge point from my office. And my job is to support the local community.
Thank you.
And give one of the fire chiefs, because the mission from 1913 is the same mission I have today, is to recognize and help.
Okay, squeeze in here. You're right from me, Corey. You guys squeeze in there. Yep.
It's good when you need help to hold all your awards.
Yeah.
Come on up if you need to take pictures. This is his stone.
It's time for Corey to give his half-hour speech. I think he did want to say something. Go ahead, floor is yours.
I kind of was prepared for this, but I just want to say thank you to the community, what you guys have done. I just want to thank the school corporation of what they are doing at the field house. I just want to thank everybody for believing in me and believing in what I can become. I hope in my future is to become a future fireman.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to attend the fire and rescue at the Newcastle Career Center. And hopefully I get into it. Where's with?
Yeah.
With Nice shirt. But I really want to appreciate what you guys are doing for me. I just want to say blessed. I mean, I really don't want to take credit, but I do what I have to do.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Wonder how long.
Thanks for coming, Mr. Fire Marshal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we do love your water.
We like you guys most of the time.
You must have heard how exciting this police report is.
Getting close, aren't you? Got a sketchy here, man?
Yeah, plenty of it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll have the Newcastle Police Department Annual Report. So I'll have Warlow come forward, Assistant Chief Warlow.
I feel like most of these people have listened to me speak before.
That's
so
what I was thinking.
mass exodus. So Greg Phipps already told me that I'm an eloquent speaker, but not to do a lot of it tonight. So we're going to try to get through this pretty quickly. So 2023 annual report, a couple of things that we do want to highlight. If you will flip back to the letter from the chief, the only thing that I wanted to highlight off of that, so Chief Schofield talked about in his letter, our officers range in ages from 21 to 58 years old, and our backgrounds are as varied as much as their ages. The reason I bring that up is, in addition to that, we have males, females, multiple ethnicities. We have officers with GEDs all the way up to bachelor's degrees. I think sometimes people that potentially are interested in applying sort of think there's a certain mold that you have to fit to apply to be a police officer or a fireman or a paramedic or an EMT. We all need people, and if you know people and you speak to people, that are interested, encourage them to apply. Don't let them sort of talk themselves out of it. So if you would turn to the uniform division and patrol officers. So a couple things that I wanted to highlight on that. If you look at the very top, you see JB Nicholson with a whole lot of stars going across there. And mid-January, JB walked in and retired. So that put us down another position. So then if you scroll or if you will look down towards the bottom, obviously those stars taper with years of service as we go down. Currently, we have 8 officers with less than 2 years and 2 vacancies on the department. So basically, we have 10 officers with less than 2 years experience right now. So we are a very young department. There's positives that come out of that, but it is, we have lost a lot of veterans, and I shouldn't say lost. We've had a lot of retirements over the last several years. So it's good that those individuals were able to move on and hopefully enjoy retirement. But we have become a very young agency very quickly. So if you will turn to the calls for service, it's about 2 pages over. You'll see the graph. So when we first did this, we went back to 2015 to try to pull additional data. You can see that we obviously took a big drop during COVID, and that we have just very steadily came back. So this year we had over 11,000 calls for service. We are averaging an increase of about 1,000 calls of service per year, and honestly that is kind of a skewed number because about 4 years ago, Chief Schofield and I sat down and, if you recall, eliminated a lot of calls that we were previously responding to that we didn't feel necessarily warranted a police response. You would be amazed the amount of calls that we get of juvenile problem, and that's the extent of the information. Well, what are they doing? Well, they're being juveniles and they're causing a problem. Well, if that's about all you can give us, we're not going to respond to that. A lot of custody disputes, mental health things, like we will respond and assist in any place that we can, but not every problem is for a police officer to solve, and sometimes we exacerbate situations when we inject police officers into them when it's not warranted. In addition to that, we have not been fully staffed since 2018. I think, as Chief Schofield put it, we were for like 2 weeks, and that was a good 2 weeks or something along those lines. So we, are still short-staffed. So if you break that down, that means that our patrol officers are responding to approximately 450 calls for service per person. That doesn't account for traffic stops. That doesn't account for events. That doesn't account for patrolling certain areas or increasing patrols to certain areas. That is 911 calls that they are responding to. So those men and women have a lot that they are responding to and covering right now. And if we look at this and these metrics stay the same, which I honestly fully expect them to, that number will be over 12,000 by next year. So if we go to the next page, we look at annual arrests. You can see that in 2023 arrests are back up. I think 2 of the big contributing factors to that is, 1, the new jail. There's been a lot of things for the last several years that we have been citing as misdemeanor offenses that typically we would take to jail. In addition to that, one of Henry County's judges came out this year and said that they wanted driving while suspended prior offenses to be arrested because they were tired of seeing the same individuals over and over and over when they were just receiving a ticket. So driving while suspended prior is something we very commonly encounter. So I'm not at all shocked to see arrest numbers up, coupled with the fact that having a new jail, we're actually incarcerating some of those individuals that we haven't been for a while. For example, with shoplifting, over certain amounts and things of that nature. Even warrants, for a period of time during COVID, we were calling individually to say, this individual's wanted, do you actually want them? So now that all of that is kind of gone by the wayside, we have a new jail, we have the ability to hold more individuals, we're arresting driving while suspended. Not at all shocked to see the numbers increase this past year on arrests. One thing that I added in this year, this was our 3rd year of having data. If you look at the bottom graph, it shows use of force. So towards the end of 21, we started tracking that. So every time one of our officers uses force, they have to go in and code that in that report. And then once that's done, that has to be reviewed by a supervisor. And then if it is a supervisor that is involved in that use of force, it has to come to Chief Schofield or myself to review and then deem that that was appropriate or warranted use of force. And so that's on every call where we use force. One of the things that I think is pretty interesting when you look at this, we responded to 11,182 calls for service. We made 3,427 traffic stops. So that's 14,609 police encounters. And in this past year, we had 48 use of force encounters. So that means approximately 0.33% of the time that the public interacts with our officers, there's a use of force. And I think that is a very good number. Anybody attempting to claim, something not accurate or counter to that, it's simply not happening. To say that officers are out, fighting with people and using force on people on a daily basis is not even remotely accurate. So I think that's a really good statistic for our department. If we go to the next page, we look at drug arrests. You'll see that the patrol division drug arrests are up. We've talked about it, I think, every year when we've done this. In our county, in our community, the thing that we see over and over is crystal methamphetamine. It is unfortunately very easy to obtain. You can be in Dayton in 45 minutes, you can be in Indianapolis in 45 minutes, and that is by far still our leading drug of choice in this county. Gun arrests. So state legislature did something this past year that probably many of you are familiar with, and they adopted constitutional carry and alleviated the requirement to have a license to carry a handgun in the state of Indiana. So in doing so, they deemed that anybody that's a proper person under the law, meaning you don't have any felony convictions, domestic battery convictions, things of that nature, anybody can carry a firearm without having a license to carry a handgun. So it should be no shock that when we look at encounters, because the only gun arrest that we had tracked was where an individual was arrested for illegally carrying a firearm, well, that exponentially made our job more difficult. The only other thing that we track on guns is red flag seizures of individuals having suicidal ideations or making threats towards the public or law enforcement or something of that nature. So you see that number dropped pretty drastically, and that really shouldn't be a surprise, because while I would say confidently that we're encountering more firearms than we've probably ever encountered as far as individuals carrying them and possessing them, it is virtually impossible for us to determine if that individual is committing a crime. So really the only thing we can do is run a background check to see if they have a felony conviction that comes up, and it should be no surprise that in a lot of cases we can't just randomly stop people to check and see if they're supposed to have that firearm. So there are a lot of people carrying firearms and using Indiana's new law, but it has significantly dropped the numbers of people illegally possessing them, because as long as they're a proper person, they do not have to have a license to carry a handgun anymore. If we go to the next page, we look at impaired driving. We did see an increase in that, so up to 86 impaired drivers. I will give some recognition to Brady Renner, which was this year's Officer of the Year. I believe he made around 40 DUI arrests this year on his own, working a lot of Operation Pullover, which is grant funded. We are very fortunate that we get a large Operation Pullover grant for our community. That does not insinuate that they think there's a lot of drinking and driving in our community or a lot of reason for that. The way Operation Pullover determines to award those funds is based off what communities are using them. One thing that we've been very good at for the last 5 or 6 years is requesting funds through Operation Pullover and then trying to put officers out to work those extra details of school bus safety, people passing stop arms, DUI, drug enforcement, and we try to fund a lot of that off of the OPO grant. Because we do use that grant money, we have continued to get more money year after year based off of the expenditure of that. So if you go to the vehicle accidents on the next page, it's kind of interesting that it does not seem to matter if we increase traffic enforcement, if traffic enforcement slows. Our vehicle accident numbers stay at a pretty much constant, somewhere in the range of 500 to 650 accidents per year. That combines property damage accidents, personal injury accidents, hit and run accidents are all rolled into just vehicle accidents. So as I was looking at these stats this year, I went back and pulled every accident that we had that occurred on State Road 3. So of the just shy of 600 accidents we had, 168 of those accidents occurred on State Road 3. So I think that's interesting because that means that 29% of all vehicle accidents that we have in the city of Newcastle occur on State Road 3. That's a very large number. Hopefully with the NDOT coming through and redoing 3, while it obviously is going to cause some congestion issues and other things, while all of that is underway, hopefully we see that significantly decreases the accidents that we're having on State Road 3. And according to NHTSA and NDOT, that is one of the things that made them look at doing this in our community, is that we have a above average amount of accidents on State Road 3 for what they would expect us to have. So I think that stat kind of supports that. If we could see a 30% decrease in our accidents, I think we would all be a fan of that. If you go to the next page, it talks about the K-9 program. So we are currently down 1 K-9. We have 2 at the moment. We were very fortunate this year to receive a grant through Boar's Head, or a donation, sorry, through Boar's Head. And they contacted us and said, hey, we want to purchase a K-9 for you. So Boar's Head has purchased a 3rd K-9 for us. We'll be going over to pick that K-9 up next week, and then getting New Handler and his K-9 partner up to start going through the training, and we will have a 3rd K-9 to fill that position. In addition to that, since Boar's Head stepped in and said they wanted to donate to us to purchase a 3rd K-9, we've also been contacted by an individual in the community that wanted to purchase the body armor for that K-9, and another individual in the community that wanted to purchase a K-9 trauma kit, a specific medical kit for the K-9. So we're very, very fortunate. Our K-9 program, as you all know, is not funded through the city. It is off of the community and their donations and their support. And so it's pretty remarkable to have that vacancy and not only cover the dog and the vest and the med kit and everything just off of donations in a very short amount of time. So as you can see in 2023, if you go to the next page, we did, we use our canines. We had 188 canine incidents alone in 2023, and that being, with part of the year being down a canine. So as we've worked to get back up to 3 canines, they are certainly utilized, and we'll be glad to get back to that hopefully by springtime. If you go to the next page, you can look at the Detective Division. So this year they investigated 137 criminal investigations. So that doesn't always sound like a lot, but we have 4 criminal detectives. When you spread 137 criminal investigations, we're not talking about them following up on shoplifting and things of that nature. Some of these investigations take months to bring to conclusion, and they certainly are very busy and shorthanded, just like all of us. So if you go to the next page, one of the things that we have continued to see is, if we go back to 2017, we were having about 86, 87 burglaries in the city on an annual basis. Now 2017 was a high year, but starting in 18, we have just continued to see that number come down. And this past year, I think we had around 12 burglaries in the entire city. And I think that's a pretty good stat that we certainly want to continue moving in that direction. Same thing, shoplifting has decreased, theft has decreased. Those are all things that we want to continue, metrics that we want to see continuing to move in those directions. If you look at the next page, this is where I kind of touched on already. So if you look at this is the narcotics and drugs and narcotics that were purchased by the Drug Task Force over 2023. If you look at Schedule 4, 3, 2, 1, we did see cocaine make a little bit of a comeback this year. Our heroin numbers are still very, very low. That's also where our fentanyl numbers would be. And the thing that we still see is, the methamphetamine being by far our highest drug that we're seeing on a very regular basis. If you go to the next page, this is the same thing. This switches everything to grams with the exception of meth, and it moves it into ounces, just so that you can kind of get a better idea on the very low numbers from the rest of the drugs in compared to what our meth numbers look like. So if you go to the next page, we'll talk about school resource officers for a moment. So we have continued to try to increase and improve on the SRO program. Getting Officer Coger into the school full-time has been a tremendous win, but we have got to continue working and are working with the school corporation to try to get a second full-time SRO inside of that building at some point. I don't know if you guys have seen Chase on the regular, but I'm a little worried. He's only got about 2 years left in him. He's going to waste away to nothing. So they have ran him all over that building and all over that corporation. And he's done an incredible job, but we need to continue to work to support his efforts and all of our efforts to try to keep our schools safe and continue to work with the school corporation to do that. We did put in for the COPS grant last year with the hope that we might be awarded that grant funding. There was thousands of agencies, I think, around the nation that put in for that. And I think in Indiana, there was only 16 agencies that were awarded. So we were not an agency that received the COPS grant. That is something that we'll continue to look into as a possibility to try to help fund that second SRO position. But it is something we want to continue working towards. So if you go to the next page, this is always something that Chief Schofield and I take pride in. So the Indiana Law Enforcement Training Board requires 24 hours of training annually. So that is, in order to be a police officer in the state of Indiana, as long as you complete 24 hours of training on an annual basis, you're in good standing with the ILETB. It does break down what that training has to be in with 2 hours in firearms, 2 hours in defensive tactics, 2 hours in emergency vehicle operations, some other specific training that they require on autism awareness, theft of precious metals, things of that nature. And then most recently, they added in that you have to have 1 hour of training in de-escalation annually. But I think we would all agree that 24 hours is nowhere near enough training or what we want to see out of our police officers. If you look at the first line, the department as a whole, we had an average of 64 hours of continuing education training this year. SROs averaged 68 hours. When I say SROs, that's not just Chase. That is all of our officers that are certified as SROs and work in our schools on a regular basis. Average training hours for detectives was 75.8 hours. Average training hours for our canine handlers was 101.5 hours. Average training hours for our SWAT officers was 152.4 hours. So we are far, far exceeding what the state of Indiana requires, and that's something that we have no intention of stopping and want to continue to do moving forward. If you go to the next page, you'll see the recruiting. So in this past year, we did add 4 additional officers. Recruiting in law enforcement has become unlike anything I have ever seen or imagined that it was going to get to. So there's multiple agencies offering bonuses, offering brand new cars if they hire you, and it has it's pretty remarkable where we're at. I think what we're seeing both in the immediate area and around the nation is the amount of people that are interested in being police officers has become a fraction of what it used to be. I remember trying to become a police officer in 2007, 2008, and basically being told, like, you live in the Midwest, everybody wants to serve, everybody wants to be a police officer, everybody wants to be a firefighter, and that is simply not the case anymore. There is a very small number of individuals that have interest. There is a much smaller number outside of that can actually pass all of the requirements in order to get to a point where we can hire them. And unfortunately, agencies are all competing for that limited number of candidates, and then seeing an absence of candidates, we're cannibalizing one another as a profession. So you have a lot of agencies, trying to, us included, trying to hire laterals, trying to incentivize laterals, heavily focused on retaining the officers that we have. And I want to thank the council and the mayor for, working with us and the progress that we have made on that. And just unfortunately, that's kind of what recruiting is sitting at right now. So I started off talking, I will reiterate, when you guys talk to people, if they have an interest, please send them our way. We would be happy to talk to them. As long as they're above the age of 18 and they sign a waiver, they can come out and do a ride-along and see if it's something that they think they might possibly be interested in. But we are always looking for people while also trying to be fiscally responsible. So I think I saw the other day, there's an agency in California offering $90,000 sign-on bonuses for 3 years. So it's just gotten insane. I don't know how else to put it. So recruiting is a challenge, and send us anyone that you think is possibly interested in it. So if you'll go to the next page, and then I'll be done, Greg, I promise.
Thank you.
So you go to the next page. So in 2023, every year, Chief Schofield and I try to sit down and look at what we accomplished in the past year, and then what our objectives are in the following year. In 2023, we hired 4 new officers to fill vacancies. We hired 1 new civilian records clerk to fill a vacancy when Carla Terryberry retired. We had 2 officers complete the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. We ordered 4 additional new vehicles. We completed a hiring process with the Merit Board. We completed a promotion process with the Merit Board. Received a donation to purchase a 3rd canine. Continued to see burglary, theft, shoplifting decrease in the city. And then one of the things that we will always list as an accomplishment, and we will also list as an objective, is to continue strengthening police and community relations. There's nothing that we as a department can do if we are not backed and supported by our community. So it absolutely takes a team effort of people being willing to talk to us, willing to work with us, willing to bring concerns to us for us to have any hope of mitigating them. 2024, some of our objectives are to hire 2 new officers. I think every year I've got hire X number of officers and return NCPD back to full strength. So I just copy paste that one and change the number at this point. So continue working with Newcastle Community School Corporation to try and identify ways to add an additional full-time SRO. Continue to work on maintaining our fleet. One of the big things that we're working aggressively this year, I guess you could say, is we want to get all of our newly hired officers through the FTO program and through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Chief Schofield and I were talking, we're going to try to send a group to the next academy to try to get a larger number of them pushed through. Even talking with some of the officers said, hey, if we send several in a group all at once, we're going to be shorthanded, and kind of the overwhelming feedback is like, we're already shorthanded, send them and let's get this done. So we really want to work to try to get as many of them through ILEA as we can. In addition to that, we'll continue to seek out new training opportunities for all of our officers, continue to evaluate equipment needs, and then continue working to strengthen police and community relations. So I think that's all I have. Chief, is there anything you want to add?
Nope, you got it all covered.
All right.
Assistant Chief.
Yes, sir.
Just an update on the cameras and how the software is working out for everyone.
The body cams? They are working exceptionally well. The only error that I made in buying them is it's increased my workload by about 17%. So, but no, they're working phenomenally. We have used them. I mean, we use them every day, but they have already paid off in dividends. We had an officer involved in an accident, running lights and sirens to a call this past year. Had to swerve because an individual pulled out in front of him, was involved in an accident. On the accident scene, it was, well, I didn't see this. He didn't have his lights on. We played back the body cam, and it alleviates those kind of questions. We've already had at least 3 complaints that I was involved in. I'm sure more that Chief Schofield's been involved in, where we went back and played back the body cam, and it is just blatantly false information and in an effort to get an officer in trouble. I don't know how else to put it. So they've worked very well in that. But then the other thing, and one of the things we talked at length about, is our prosecutor's office absolutely loves them. You know, when you can send a case up with a written report and evidence, and then show the judge, the prosecutor, the jury, anyone else involved, you know, would you like to watch this video from 6 different angles from the officers that were on scene? It alleviates any question. So we've been very pleased with them so far. You know, along with that, we knew this would be part of it. We've also seen, I'm sure Joel probably tired of seeing my name pop up on his phone. So, but we do get more requests for body cam video. But even to that regards, I don't think there's been a single instance where I felt like our body cam hurt us and has only helped us in every situation that I've been aware of.
I think talking with the officers, confidence in that is really, really very solid.
Yep. Yeah.
Very solid.
I admittedly, I don't like, it's almost like forgetting your gun if I walk out without my camera. Like, I want my body camera on me when I'm working. So I think everybody has appreciated having those.
We've got plate readers. Are those effective for us?
They're very effective. So we've used those. We've probably had those for 4+ years at this point, but they've proven very effective, and it's something that we definitely want to continue, and at some point, you know, look at expanding even.
I remember I was on the merit board when you came on the force, and I think back then, most of those years, we would have 16 to 20 applicants, and you know, maybe 8 or 10 of them were real good applicants, and you would take a job if they got the chance, and now you can't even, like you say, get hardly a handful. So.
No, and it's certainly not something that's just plaguing us. I think it was you, Mayor, that said you had a conversation with the Bloomington mayor, and they were like 16 or 17 officers short. And if you look at Bloomington, I mean, they're offering everything, you know, except, I mean, they're literally offering to pay your relocation expenses and help purchase a house, and they're still shorthanded.
They got people coming out of college that need a job. Somebody, you know, I mean, it would.
So recruiting has just become very difficult, and I think it ultimately boils down to, and some of this, I mean, we could discuss why all day, but we as a society have created. There's not a lot of people that want to be police officers right now. Hopefully at some point we see that shift back. You know, some of that was probably earned by police over the years, but hopefully as we, you know, if we continue to work with our communities, hopefully we can shift that and see those numbers come back around in time.
We have a very professional police force, and I attribute a lot of that to you and Chief Schofield. Of course, we've got good men, but we really appreciate what you guys do, really.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you for the detailed report.
Okay, next we have Dr. Shoemaker from Newcastle Community Schools, our superintendent, coming forward. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'll take 2 minutes, that's all.
Wow.
So I got.
Well, but then we want you to come back and give us the full.
I will. I would like to do that.
You're welcome to come anytime you want.
Yep. So this is a QR code. It's an invitation to something that we're going to host for the first time. It's a business community/school luncheon. And so I'd like to invite you to that. Yeah, it's a mouthful there. February 20th, it's going to be at Sunnyside Education Center, and that's formerly the Sunnyside Elementary. It's going to be at 11:30. So if you do want to go, so I would say sign up because there's 45 people signed up. We're going to cap it at 60. And the purpose is to explain our grant. So we got a $4.3 million grant about 1.5 years ago. So 1 year of that is a planning purpose. And then we've got the last half year has been implementation. And so we've got, from that $4.3 million, we hired 9 full-time people to support career exploration for our students. And what this is going to do is we've created 13 new pathways for our students. These are for our high school students. And so those new, one pathway is going to be 4 classes. So a student will go into a pathway, let's say it's business administration. They'll have a principal's class, probably their freshman year, and then they're going to have 2 concentrator classes after that. It'll culminate in a capstone, which is really an internship. And that's what we're going to talk about on the 20th. What I need is currently we've got 16 students for the first time ever outside of the Career Center. 16 students placed in internships for the semester, and so we've got the capacity to place between 30 and 35 the first semester next year, and 30 and 35 the first semester, the second semester. So approximately 70 students. We will vet them. It doesn't cost the businesses anything, and they just get business work-based learning opportunities. There's a lot of people planning to do this because we got the grant. We're doing it. So it's really exciting. I wanted to extend it. If you can come on that day, that would be great. We'll unpack it. It'll be probably 11:30 to about 12:45 or so. We'll have about 3 people present. Well, our attendance specialist, our attendance for students has dramatically gone up. That's been a big focus. We hired somebody just for that, for 6 through 12. She'll be there. Patrick Burris will be there. We hired him from Ivy Tech. So come if you can. I would like to piggyback on what Assistant Chief Wardlow indicated. Officer Cogan, I wanted to thank the council and the mayor for the support of this. And Chief, he's a rock star, and we're safer because of it. We know we're safer because of it. The attention to detail. Imagine having somebody there all day, every day, and really cares. And I think that credibility, that connection where we can improve and have kids want to be police officers, you've got a person of character in the school every single day modeling what it's like to be a great police officer. So I really feel like, we're on the right track on that. And so I wanted to thank you for that. The last thing is the RDC, and I know this isn't it, but you sit on the RDC. I want to thank them for contributing $125,000 for the restrooms at Sunnyside. It's going to serve, because that's now the Sunnyside Education Center. We've got the Education Service Center there, about 7 employees, but it's going to double. We're putting restrooms in there, and all of the spectators from the Colin McAtee Field, the baseball field, are going to be able to go in and have restrooms available to them and not have to go to someplace else. So that's going to be a nice thing. So, yep, I've got my business card right there. My personal cell phone number is on the back of it. If you got any questions, then give me a call.
Dr. Shoemaker, I'd like to add registration. It's very easy.
Okay. Did you just do it?
I did it.
Oh, okay.
Last week.
Okay.
And good parenting works.
Yeah, it does. You should be proud.
He's been a rock star for a long time.
He has.
I would like to invite you back to do a little bit more detail about Sunnyside and what's going on there. And I'm not bragging at this point in time, but when you watch TV and down in San Antonio or in Texas, it took them 74 minutes to get into a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And the first mistake we had the first day of school last year, we had an officer inside within a minute,
Yes.
20 seconds or something like that. It's just mind-boggling that it took 74 minutes?
It was a long time.
Yeah.
But before they entered.
I think it was 47 seconds for you guys.
But we're proud of these guys. I mean, it's when I heard that on TV and thought, how do you compare our guys with it?
Yeah.
We're pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any citizens that would like to come before the council tonight?
All the water department needs to make a statement, so you guys get your turn.
Okay, not seeing anybody jumping up to come up and speak. We'll start committee reports. Mr. Guffey?
Got a couple of things. Mr. Mayor, you've been in contact with the guy on the railroad crossings. How's that going? I mean,
He actually has applied for a grant, and he's waiting for all the listings that I gave him. He's trying to get a grant. The repairs will be on their nickel and on them. So I haven't heard back from him this year, so I need to give another call.
but he has applied?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mark had given me a list of intersections, and the Board of Works has the ability to enter orders directing that certain intersections on railroads get repaired at some point, so that's something we can do. One of the few things we have over railroads, and the ones he gave me were I, G, A, and Grand.
All those are on there, and you left 14th Street off.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, that's Is there any way to just take that little section up on 14th Street since it's not used anymore?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, not going to, it could stop. They could put a train car stop right there and wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. They could take that one out.
They paved over New Lisbon Pike, so I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I know
There's trains on that track.
You've seen all of them.
I know that all those intersections is important, but I feel like 21st Street, 22nd Street, and 23rd Street is just important.
The first,
You got
22nd
buses
block.
that cruise across the
Yeah.
tracks there for Eastwood, you got semi-trucks that run across there at Eastwood. I feel like those intersections are just important as any of the other intersections.
They
I mean,
are.
if you
No,
want to,
they-
if you want to throw it out,
They're bad.
That's a different railroad, though.
it is.
Yeah.
He backs his cars up there.
Yes.
Isn't 22nd totally closed? The road closed?
That's,
Yes,
that's
it's-
Norfolk and Southern. We ain't talking Norfolk and Southern. The main track.
That's who owns 21st, 22nd?
Not the main track. Main track is where y'all made a big mistake years ago and closed it.
Well, we
I'm talking about,
we all
I'm talking about 22nd by Eastwood.
Hey, now wait a minute, we gave up an intersection to close.
Yeah, but we gave up the wrong intersection.
Yeah,
Well,
you have to give up
We won't go there,
I
though.
think it was
We won't
two.
go there. I tried that years ago and got defeated.
I'm not gonna
I'm
argue.
talking about 22nd, 23rd
Just
Street.
South of Eastwood.
Oh, I
First
got
Street.
you, I got you.
I was talking about north.
My Eastwood School, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
He uses that. He backs
You're
his cars
right.
in.
Yeah, no, we were talking about two different things.
So I feel
We
like
can
they
add
should be added
those.
too. I mean, you know, if
Yes.
we're gonna be able to, if he's gonna get some grant money, I doubt if he'll get enough to do that, but it would be good.
Even if it's
Add those.
50/50 with us, I mean, if he gets the grant money in 50/50, I mean, we would be willing to entertain something.
Finding some money to help.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Now, the
We-
rough
we-
crossing does have a good to it. It slows people down.
You're 100% correct, yes.
It slows people down.
Well, that's true.
But I feel like we need to add those also.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I've got is, I think Councilman Lynn brought this up back in the fall when we was paving the roads about raising the manholes.
It's been brought up several times.
Every year.
So, who's responsible?
I think last time we discussed it, that was the issue. Because I think we had said that's really contractors' purview, but we always end up fixing.
Right. They'll be flush or they'll be just slightly low and then we'll have them mill an inch and a half and put an inch and a half back and somehow it ends up an inch low when we're done.
Yeah, we got some on I Avenue that's probably 5 inches low. Pretty bad.
You know, that, from past, that's something that maybe we could take money out of the water and sewer department instead of taking it out of LRNS. I mean, because, I mean, we got more money there than we do in LRNS every year, so it's not a lot, but, I mean, it is more, so.
But if it's a contractor's responsibility.
Well, yeah,
that's just-
but good luck. I mean, when they're out, when they're done, they're done. I mean, if we sign off on it, there's no getting them back.
Yeah, when they leave the city, and like Mark said, if we sign off, I think they're not gonna.
I mean, it's,
gracious enough to
if
come
we
back
could,
for us.
you know, spray paint the ones that need attention and fix them, if we don't have the money to do it, there's money out there to find.
That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Hancock.
Just the one thing, Mayor and Lee, I appreciate taking care of the potholes and all that, and getting hold of the state for State Road 3. They had some really large ones there that was damaged to some wheels and tires, so I appreciate both
That
of you
brought you
getting
some
right on.
business, though,
You
didn't
got
it?
some business in
Yeah,
there.
but then I'd explain from one out of state.
Well, you didn't have them fixed.
That's it, well, yeah, they thought it was a city issue, and I had to tell them, no, it's a state issue, but we'll see what we can do. So appreciate both of those, and that's all, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Walden.
I sent out an email to everyone following the last Eastern Indiana Region Planning Commission about the road surveys that Henry County was part of this year. So if you have a chance to look at that, please do. There's some really good information there. Also, I put this on everyone's seat. Indiana got $270 million for internet improvement. And part of that is getting the citizens on board and completing a survey. You can check your internet speed doing that survey. For those of who do not have internet access, there is a phone number. And I put that phone number on there that they can call. For us as a city, I don't think that's as big of a problem as what it is for the county. There are areas in Henry County that does not have internet access. So it's important to get this news out because this funding ends in August. And whatever information they get, whatever data they draw down to divvy that money out, it comes from that survey or making that phone call. So I'd like to ask everyone to share this, if you could, on your Facebook pages, wherever, and please get that message out. I do want to thank Dave for doing a little drive around with me. I was fortunate enough to have an ace in the hole with State Road 3 project. Teresa Gray was the one of the engineers that worked on designing this. She helped design the Greenfield process over there. She was part of the survey on the accident report, and she gave us some pretty good information. Dave, we stopped at a couple of intersections, just to give you one at Parkview, coming out on 3. Once those meetings are in there, you're going to be able to do U-turns. What about the person on Parkview that wants to make a right-hand turn on a red light? Something to think about. And her boss, who also retired when Teresa did, came up with some signage, and they're going to be put to use over in Greenfield. So hopefully, you know, Mr. Mayor, she's very willing to talk to all of us. She'll sit down with you, and she's been part of all this, and she gave me some information that I had no idea on. Another thing we looked at was how do you get around the construction on these little side lots and all that. So I want to thank Dave for taking time out. It ended up, I planned on about 30 minutes, and it ended up being about 2 hours and 30 minutes. But it is good. Dave, I appreciate you meeting with me on that, and that's all I have.
Mr. Dickin? Wondered if we had an update from insurance litigation on the contractor issue. Looking at the lines there on Riley Road.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell them we got tort claim notices.
Yeah, our hands are very much tied now. It's in a legal battle. We have a $12 million lawsuit against us, so it's way beyond me, a conversation with anybody, way beyond a conversation with you with anybody. So it's up to insurance and lawyers now, but we have received a tort claim for $12 million.
Okay. Well, and I appreciate your guys' department's been on my end of the town a lot, and I mean, just, you heard it tonight, it's just endless and really respectable that you guys show up and work in those conditions. So appreciate you guys a lot. I mean, if we can't talk about that, then I guess I don't have anything.
Okay. Mr. Coker?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either, Your Honor, so I'll just turn it over to you so you can do department heads.
Chief, you got anything? Anything else this evening?
I'm on vacation after Wednesday.
Okay, all right.
For a week.
Lucky.
That's it.
Careful. Chief? EMS?
Nope.
Kenny? Mike? Dan? Dave?
No, sir.
Council?
I don't have anything else.
Ashley? Kendra? Doug? Mark? Greg?
Obviously, I thank my people. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the street department and the sewer department. They helped us out while we were kind of busy. They hauled some stone for us and set up some signage, and they were limited with the help that they could give, but they helped us in any way they could, and we do appreciate their support. It was very much a team effort.
Lee?
Next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks, right, Joel? He's going to present a amendment to the resolutions.
The amendment to the ordinance passed, yeah.
To the ordinance on the toter fund. Currently on the toter fund, we can buy toters and trash containers out of that. I'm in need of a truck for the toters, and there's money in that fund. There's roughly $130,000 in that fund right now. And I would like to, if you amend that, where I can actually buy equipment for the sanitation department. For this, the truck would also be used as a multifaceted truck. We can also dress it out with a plow and salt bed. That would also help us in the winter months for that. And you're probably talking somewhere to dress it out and get the truck, about $45,000. Of course, there's money coming into that every month. I'm setting on about 800 toters right now is what we have in stock. So we're in good shape on toters. Since we started this, our calls for toters have went down to about 5 or 6 a week. So we're staying on that. And
That was
so-
the goal, yeah, that was the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never get Facebook people asking for toters.
Yeah, I mean, so we're staying on top of
Good.
it. So this would help us be able to purchase a vehicle to help in a multifaceted way. So I asked Joel to present that to you in 2 weeks. So if you'd be willing to change that, that'd be great.
Is that a new truck?
No, it's not. It'll be a used truck. That's all I have.
Anything else? Okay. Jerry, respectfully, will address the high-speed internet. Our overall goal is for Newcastle to grow and to be able to compete with other communities. And we're going to talk about the boring companies tonight, but some of those boring companies for those high-speed internet has made their job, been some of the toughest jobs that they've had to face with the boring companies coming to town. And I'm for automation and I'm for, but some other companies have to do the right things too. We'll address that tonight, but I'm for it, but man, they've sure made it tough, especially on that department. So,
Well, on the citizens too.
yeah, on the citizens, very much so, yeah. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Now we'll move on to business. The first thing is a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds. Now therefore be resolved, this is, resolution number 020522024-1, resolution authorizing the transfer of funds. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle that a sum not to exceed $1 million shall be transferred temporarily from the Stormwater Fund to the General Fund. Any amount transferred must be returned to the General Fund, from the General Fund to the Stormwater Fund on or before December 31st, 2024. I'll move that we pass that resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. We've done this in years past, not every year, but help us get to a tax draw. So anyway, hearing no discussion, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Okay, then that passes. Next, we come to third reading on ordinance 3918, amending section 152.25 of the city code. That is the ordinance dealing with barn dominiums. That was taken to the planning commission and it passed the planning commission, and now it's back to us for third reading, and I would move we pass that 3918 on third reading.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, is there any discussion? Mr. Guffey?
So, with barn dominium, I don't think it'll affect what the question I have, but what if I want to use steel rib siding on the structure on a house?
I don't think the current barn dominium ordinance we have would prohibit that necessarily. I mean, it prohibits the barn-shaped structure that people are putting in. It wouldn't necessarily permit if you had a standard
Right.
house and put that
Okay.
that type of siding on it wouldn't necessarily be prohibited, unless it's prohibited by something else in the code, and I don't think there's nothing else that would, so.
This excludes garages though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
that's
structures
right.
primarily
Yeah.
for living purposes.
Yeah.
This kind of keeps people from putting 4 posts in the ground, siding with metal and a roof and living there. You know,
It's better than a tent, but
well,
you're right.
better than tent.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the second question I was asking about the garages. Okay, I'm clear.
Okay, hearing no more discussion, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Okay, that brings us to ordinance 3919, an ordinance replacing chapter 98.20 of the city code. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council, City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. 1, Section 98.20 through 98.24 of the city code are repealed. 2, the following is made part of the city code. Really did me in this time,
Yeah, I don't know
Jay.
if, I don't think you need to read all of that. It's several pages long, so.
Okay. Anyway, would you summarize this for,
Sure, yeah, the city had previously had a requirement that anyone having to or wanting to bore into city streets had to obtain a permit, and I think the fee was $3 for a permit. It was enacted, I believe, in 1968, and then didn't really put any other requirements. I think it was probably enacted at a time when people were putting telephone poles into city streets, and that was the extent of people going down, and underground utilities weren't really a thing. So we started looking, given some problems we've had with contractors in town doing underground utility work, to not registering, not obtaining permits. So we wanted to look at what some other communities had done. We looked at that and then came up with some requirements that'll essentially, you'll have to obtain a permit, you'll have to obtain proof of insurance to have a permit, you'll have to show video of the pre-construction ground that's going to be disturbed during construction. You're going to have to provide us evidence of where sewers are located, and also pay a performance bond, which would essentially be to cover your repairs, and then a maintenance bond, which is to cover any repair that may be needed to the streets for a period of 2 years thereafter because the work you performed was deficient. And so then there's some other requirements about how the work's to be performed, how you're supposed to hand dig for locates in certain areas, how you're supposed to have a separation from existing city utilities, and then also provide the building inspector with plans and as-built drawings after the work's completed, so we'll know where the utility lines you've installed are located. So this is significantly more regulation than what our current code has for underground utility work.
And they've got to sign a cover sheet, sign off on it that they've done this before they start digging.
Correct.
Do we check on this cover sheet also? Do we follow up that?
We know
have
they're
done it?
here.
Yeah, I know, but,
Yeah.
but do we follow up, right?
Yeah, it would either be
So
Kenny
what's the-
Dell, Dave, myself, or Greg Phipps, or
What's a penalty if you catch them doing it without a permit?
Well, it's a minimum fine of $500, up to $2,500.
throw them out of town, first of all.
Yeah, and they can be directed to stop work, so.
I'll move we pass this 3919 on first reading.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Please roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Going to move that we suspend the rules on this. We can, correct?
You can.
Suspend the rules so we can vote on this for a second reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye, and I'll move we pass 3919 on second reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please roll call vote.
All right, Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. And I'll move we suspend the rules so we can pass 3919 on third reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Shut up.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Then I move we pass ordinance 3919 on third reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Okay, so pass this and it will take effect at what point, Jay?
Well, I'll have to publish it,
Yeah.
so then after publication.
Okay, so we at least have a little more layer of protection.
But this doesn't the people that are doing work now, this won't affect them.
Correct, yeah, if you've already had a permit, then
Right.
no, it wouldn't impact any permit that's already issued, but anyone after the date this gets published.
Perfect,
Yep.
thanks.
Okay. And that brings us to ordinance 3920. An ordinance 3920, an ordinance removing the city of Newcastle water utility from the jurisdiction of the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission for the approval of rates, charges, and evidences of indebtedness. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. The Newcastle Water Utility pursuant to Indiana Code 8-1.5-3-9-1 is hereby removed from the jurisdiction of the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission for the purposes of approval of rates, charges, and the issuance of stocks, bonds, notes, and other evidences of indebtedness. I move we pass this ordinance 3920 on first reading.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Do we have discussion?
Are there any penalties involved in this? Do we get any?
They do absolutely nothing for us. We have to, our department heads have to turn in paperwork, and we have to meet their deadlines. Over 200 and some odd customers that they have through the state of Indiana. There's only,
Mark has a number.
do you have the numbers, Mark?
It's a small number, I know that.
Yeah, down.
One page and a quarter that's left in it, and there's hundreds that have pulled out of it.
Yeah.
Greg Phipps got this information.
I remember when Doug Baldessari was here, he talked about the low number of communities that are still in it because of all the hoops you gotta jump through.
Yeah.
And so,
But we don't pay no penalties to go out.
no, no.
That's what my question is. Okay.
Okay. Hearing no more discussion, roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Okay, it passes. Now we can't do this. We have to do another reading. We have to have a public hearing and some other things we have to do in the meantime to get this done.
Yeah.
So we'll do this over 3 meetings. That concludes our business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We adjourn.
Look, that's gonna run for minutes.
I want to keep it on the radio.
Yeah, they were actually well. Thank you.
Valerie,
Walked out.
11th and Mallard.
Never give up.
11th and Mallard.
That's good.